Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Hi, I'm Jess Berlanga Taylor, and I'm director and curator of the Stewart Collection here at UC San Diego. It's wonderful to see you all. Thank you for joining us. This is the closing event for Breathe With Me, and I want to give a very special thank you to Laura Linney and to Jeppe Hein for their presence here today. It is an honor to host both of them, and I can tell you we're in for a treat. Over the past 3 days, we've explored and discovered the power of breathing together with hundreds of participants from UC San Diego and the region. It's been a joy to witness students, families, basketball players, tennis players, high school students, staff and faculty make the invisible visible, their breath. The canvases that surround us, they're right there behind you, and you can see some of them here and behind myself, reflect the beauty, the joy, and also sometimes the sadness and the discomfort that can arise when we experience a deeper connection with ourselves and with others. The healing that can begin when we feel more connected to our shared way of being. Inspired by Jeppe's big open heart and sense of humor, we've played and laughed. We've shared music and stories, some tears, and also the peace that comes from being in silence, listening to our breathing, being here, being now. Breathe With Me is the Stewart Collection's first public program, a program that focuses on community engagement through the work of world-renowned artists. And I cannot think of a more meaningful way than to inaugurate our public program with Jeppe Hein. Breathe With Me is also the catalyst of a broader, long-term initiative focused on art and well-being, which is a curatorial passion of mine. And to have Laura Linney and Jeppe Hein here as we take this big step forward is a dream. I also want to thank Colleen K. Smith, the Executive Director of Campus Performances and Events, and her team at the EFA. In Colleen, I found a fun and kindred spirit who also shares a passion for exploring the transformative power of art. Each program, each exhibition, each performance is part of the transformation of UC San Diego into an arts and culture destination. And you are the most important part of it all. So we're super happy to see you. We have breathed together, revealing the vibrant soul of our UC San Diego communities and beyond. The blue lines that you see contain the energy of hundreds of people that have been here over the past few days. Before I introduce our guests, I would like you to join me in giving Megan Theriot, Stewart Collection's Community Engagement Manager, a warm and very noisy round of applause. It is thanks to her and to our dynamite team of volunteers that this has been possible. Thank you, Megan. Breathe With Me, a celebratory conversation with Laura Linney and Jeppe Hein, moderated by Colleen K. Smith, will explore the connections between art, mental health, and community. After the conversation, we invite you to join us on stage to dance, to breathe, and paint together. We'll be accompanied by Alina, the DJ and ministress of Church of Music, by Kevin on the saxophone, and Aaron on percussion. I'm going to be introducing Laura Linney and then Jeppe Hein, but don't forget at the end of the evening to come up and join us. Let me just get my paper. Laura Linney's respect and gratitude for creative expression is limitless. Born to a prominent New York City playwright and nurse, Golden Globe, SAG, and Emmy Award-winning actress Laura Linney began her experiential education in performance art at an early stage. After graduating from the Juilliard School, Linney went on to appear in leading roles across film, television, and theater. She's performed in a myriad of productions, such as the films Genius and Nocturnal Animals. Other films include Mr. Holmes, Kinsey, You Can Count on Me, Mystic River, Love Actually, and The Truman Show. From 2017 to 2022, Linny starred as Wendy Bird in the Netflix original series Ozark, a performance which garnered her multiple Emmy, Golden Globe, and SAG Award nominations. Other notable television credits include the Showtime series The Big C, the HBO miniseries John Adams, Tales of the City, and Frasier. Prominent Broadway productions include The Crucible, Time Stands Still, Sight Unseen, 6 Degrees of Separation, and many more. Linny has also been honored for her work in cancer advocacy. Having lost family to cancer, she understands the unique physical and emotional damage inflicted on victims and families. She aims to help them find ways to cope, grow, and rebuild so that each one can truly win his or her own fight against cancer. Laura Linney has been nominated 3 times for the Academy Award, 5 times for the Tony Award, once for a BAFTA Award, and 8 times for the Golden Globe. She has won a SAG Award, 1 National Board of Review Award, 2 Golden Globes, and 4 Emmy Awards. She holds 2 honorary doctorates from her alma maters, Brown University and the Juilliard School. Jeppe Hein is widely known, well, he's a Danish artist based in Berlin. He studied at the Royal Danish Academy of Art and at the Stadel School in Frankfurt. Jeppe Hein is widely known for producing experiential and interactive artworks positioned at the junction where art, architecture, and technical inventions intersect. Unique in their formal simplicity and notable for their frequent use of humor, his works engage in a lively dialogue with the traditions of minimalist sculpture and conceptual art of the 1970s. Hein's work often features surprising and captivating elements that place spectators at the center of events and focus their experience and perception of the surrounding space. Solo shows by Jeppe include the Moderna Museet in Stockholm, Changing Spaces in front of the Rockefeller Center in New York, Breathe With Me at UN headquarters and in Central Park in New York, The Curve at the Barbican Arts Center in London, the Centre Georges Pompidou in Paris, and at PS1 MoMA in New York, and many other venues across the world. So please join me in giving me a very warm welcome to Laura Linney, Jeppe Hein, and Colleen K. Smith. I think before we actually begin, we want to ask Jeppe if he'll lead us in a warm-up exercise. Yes.
It's okay. Hello, everyone. Good evening. So I'm Jeppe. Some of you heard about it, but I'm 80% water and love, 10% inspiration, and 10% chocolate, because I love chocolate. Then I'm a male human being with an open mind and heart. I'm fragile. I can be hurt. I've hurt other people. I'm very sad. It's a part of life. I'm a dyslexic. I'm good with words. I have 4 kids with the same wife. Some people find me funny, some not. But I believe that art is a non-spoken language, so we communicate and we open up your senses and emotions. So if I may ask you all to stand up for just a brief moment. And then, if we can all turn right. Oh, now I'm turning left, I'm sorry, that's why I left right.
It's there, right, all right.
Okay. What are we doing? We're turning right.
They're turning
Yes.
Okay. Yep, perfect.
Right. And then we take And clap the other one a little bit on the shoulders, just to walk up. Maybe you are cold. Not too far down, but also on the back, but not all the way down, of course not. Thank you. Then we turn 180 degrees around, and we do the same. Okay. Thank you so much. Then we go over here again. Thank you.
Thank you.
So then we take all our weight on the right foot. You can hear I'm not so good at right and left. And then back to the left. Very beautiful. And right. Everyone moving. And then left. And then we lift very slowly the right foot just a little bit up of the air, maybe the hands above. It's okay to woggle or wibble or whatever you call it. Just a little bit up there. Our brains are working a lot right now. Then we're getting it down again. Loosen up. And we land again on the right leg. And we do the same. We're lifting up a little bit. Maybe we saying hello to everyone. Hello, hello. Thank you. Okay, down again. Okay, last one, just to warm up our voices. So I'm doing it without the microphone, otherwise it's going to be very loud. So this is called the lion scream. So we're going to activate our inhale. I'm showing it now, so don't do it. I've been doing it the last 3 days with almost everyone coming, all the classes. That has been amazing. So you breathe in. I'm doing it now. Then I squeeze my face like a lemon, all the muscles. And when I exhale, don't do it. And now I'm screaming. Then you bring your tongue out, all the way out, and you're saying, "Wah!" Are you ready for that? 3 times. So inhaling, hold, bite in the lemon, and out. Wah! Wow, that was better than the young guys and girls. Okay, one more time. Breathing in, hold, out. Wah! Oh my God, they're very good. One more time. Breathing in, hold longer, and out. Wah! Thank you very much. Sit down.
Thank you, Jeppe. And thank you to everyone for participating in that. Don't worry, we're taking pictures. We're so excited to have this conversation tonight. We're going to talk about a lot of things. We're going to talk about art. We're going to talk about wellness. We're going to talk about the intersection of art and wellness, humor, joy. We'll run the gamut. But I want to start by asking, some people have art in their lives from the very beginning. Others, it comes to them somewhere along the way. For each of you, how did art come into your life, or how did you come to art? We'll start with Laura.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'm thrilled to be back in this area. I haven't been here in a long time. I grew up in New York City. I am the daughter of a playwright. My father was an artist named Romulus Linney, so I was sort of born into an artistic family. But really, when I was introduced to the arts, my stepmother took me to a Saturday weekly children's theater program at Brooklyn College, which was devised by a really brilliant woman named Grace Stanistreet. She was one of the first theater educators for young children. And at the time, I didn't really understand what was happening. But if I look back on it, it's very clear to me that I said hello to the arts, and the arts said hello back. And it was the beginning of something then. If I really look at it, that was the moment where I was physically involved, emotionally involved. And then it became mine, in that there is a little bit of the arts, there's a sacred space within the arts that does just belong to the person. And it started there. So that's really, so that's why arts education for me is such an important big deal.
Absolutely, that is beautiful. Jeppe, how about you?
Yeah. How about me? So when I was young, I wanted to be a soccer player. So I was training a lot, and I moved to another city where my mother lives. And her new husband was an artist. And he said, you can always sleep in my studio if you want, and you can just paint. And I was like, okay, I want to play football. I don't want to paint. But one day I came home, and I was sleeping there when I was celebrating a little bit in the city. I have parties, so I was sleeping there. So I went out one night. I went home very early, and I was very sad. I was somehow, maybe I was not successful in my way of going out and have fun, whatever. But I came home, I put some Led Zeppelin on, and I said, okay, I can also paint, whatever. So I took this big watercolor, it was 91, and I started to do some painting, start to water it up. And I got an amazing feeling. I was not taking drugs, but it was definitely a feeling of connecting with myself and a language I never had before. So if you ask me now, it was a spiritual experience, but of course at that time I was like, wow, now emotions coming out. So I did this very crazy painting. It looked like my stepfather, it just was worse and not even good, but it came out. So I went out and celebrated the rest of the night. I think it was the only time in my carpentering learning I came too late to work. But that was like the 91 doing that watercolor. And then I started, next day I did the same. But of course I didn't get the same feeling, so I was very disappointed.
Can you talk a little bit about your journey to Breathe with me?
Yes. That's going to be very fast. I have 66 minutes, I can see.
We've got a timer, don't worry.
I'm sorry. Okay, how to do that? Okay, finished carpentering, not football player. Travel around the world in Asia, painting, coming back on a small art school on an island, coming to being assistant for another artist called Olafur Eliasson. As a carpenter, I could help people with my art. Royal Academy of Fine Art, 2 years. Frankfurt Städelschule, doing my first work, moving wall, which is activating people. And I saw the opportunity that when you invite people to part of the artwork, I was like, wow. And then it was just ring in the water. Then I met my wife, of course. But then of course, I had shows, and shows is like rings, and you start to talk with people. And because it was this interactive things, people were very drawn to inviting me because it was funny, but it was serious at the same time. So I traveled around the world and trying to be with my artworks many years, have beautiful shows and so on. And then 2009, and I'm not proud of that, but I was traveling 150 days a year in an airplane. I burned out completely. And long story short, I started to do small watercolors to try to find my breath again. And I discovered when I did these small lines, I felt that when I combined it with my exhale, my heartbeat started to go down, my breath started to relax, and my crazy brain started to relax. And millions later of those lines, maybe thousands, I started to do big lines on walls. And one day, I asked first my family and my friends, and I said, why don't you paint on the wall and breathe? And that is all started in the way.
That's amazing, and we've been so privileged to have you here. How many of you have painted and breathed this week? That's amazing, and we hope that those of you who haven't will afterwards, and those of you who have will do it again, because you've experienced it. Laura, our audiences know and love you from your creative work, and may not know that you spend a lot of your free time doing conversations like this and traveling around the country. What motivates you to do that? And can you talk a little bit about why that's how you choose your spare time?
I do it for a variety of reasons. But I truly believe that the arts are the biggest untapped resource we have, particularly in our country. They are, they've been separated from us as a culture. There's only certain people can do it. If you're not a performing artist, then you're not an artist. And I believe, as well as many other people believe, like it is an essential ingredient to a healthy, good life. And I really believe that it will make everything better. And I don't care if you are an electrician, a lawyer, an architect, a prison guard, a plumber, the arts will make you better. They'll make you healthier, they'll make you more curious about your own work, and it will connect you to the people around you. And consequently also, you are less alone. And I think loneliness is such a deteriorating, horrible state, which more and more people are falling into. So what I try to do is encourage everyone to reach into the arts and just see what it does for you. Just see. Give it a try. Pick up a pen. Pick up something to play. Read about an artist. Look at a painting, but really look at it. Sit for a while. See what happens to your brain. Talk to it. It'll talk back, I promise. It will. And just to see then how it improves your life. I was very fortunate, and I've said this a lot, but I'll say it again because I think it's important. I'm the daughter of a playwright, and I grew up around a lot of playwrights as well. And Edward Albee, who is a remarkable playwright, said to me when I was a little, adolescent and disorganized, he said to me, listen to Bach every morning for 10 minutes. It organizes the mind. So try it. Give it a try for 3 weeks. Listen to Bach for 10 minutes in the morning and just see what it does for you. And it will lead you somewhere else. The thing about the arts is that it introduces you to parts of yourself that you don't know exist. And it will keep leading you and help you evolve in ways that you're not aware of yet. I really fully believe that.
Absolutely. One of the things that connects us as humans is the fact that there's ups and there's downs, and there's challenging times. And both of you have spoken about how important it is to have levity and humor and even silliness and playfulness, particularly in challenging times. Can you talk a little bit about that and why you make that connection, why you find it so important, and where that comes from? Why don't you start, Lo? You want to? Yeah, you go.
Yeah. Playfulness for me is something which of course a big part of my life. Not because I have 4 kids, but also because I've always been a kid, I think, in many ways. And I found out that I enjoy playing a lot in many different ways. And I brought it into my art by coincidence, I think, to see that people are part of it, interact with it. And I know now that playfulness is open up our heart. And to be playful, you're stepping out of your comfort zone sometimes, and you're forgetting a little bit who you are and what you have been protecting you in your surroundings. And when you're out there, you actually live your life much more free to dare to live out there, outside the comfort zone. So this is what I'm trying a lot to do in my life. And also, of course, the art or the thing I'm trying to communicate is exactly trying to bring you into play or interact with people, not just with breathing, but also just a coincident accident on a bench where you slide together, or in a fountain where you meet someone in the room of water and you see, who are you actually? So in this sense. So for me, it's like trying to bring, and in the harder times, I think when I feel up and downs, which I do every week and then, of course I use the quality of funny and, playful to bring my energy and to charge again, to be playful with my kids. If I don't feel well inside, I can start to play and maybe hit, like doing funny stuff in a sense, and make a joke out of it in a way, instead of driving myself further down in a way. So playfulness is very strong in my life and also at home, and we play a lot. And that's why I'm trying to inspire you that we started like this. It's not so serious life. We have to be more playful and dare to do something more.
How about you, Laura?
I think one of the things that we all struggle with, that we try to get away from, is learning how to sit in discomfort. It's a really important skill, to learn how to sit when things are difficult, not to avoid it, push it aside, but to sit and allow yourself, because normally discomfort for me anyway is that things are out of balance or uncoordinated. I'm uncoordinated within myself. And that's where a lot of discomfort comes from. And consequently, their levity somehow sort of rings the bell of truth about things and is a big relief. It's sort of like magic fairy dust. I mean, you instantly feel better. And the discomfort will just slightly start to correct itself if there is an honest reaction that sort of rings the bell of truth that way. You know, I think about comedians a lot and comedy and what comedy does and why it is so effective. And I was always thinking about, you know, the court jesters, you know, and why comedy is so important in any society, because the court jesters were the ones who would speak truth to power in a way that would ring the bell of truth in an undeniable way, and yet in a way that was not threatening, and in a way that was healing. You know, so it's a very sort of clever thing that comedy can do. And then with just the release of joy also says to me that you're not too knowing. You know, I think it's sort of, you're doomed if you feel like you know everything. It's just doomed. You stop growing, you don't evolve. But there's something about play that does elevate you and forces an imagination to sort of open up. And then you realize you don't know. There's so much you don't know. And it unlocks a creativity and a curiosity that then helps, you know, you evolve a bit, not just emotionally, but also physically, because laughter is good for you, and movement is good for you, and uses of language within comedic jokes and riddles and imitations of things. So it's all mental health and the arts really intersect in a very, very intense way, which I'm very glad America is finally sort of figuring out. And they are, and it's also taking the arts back and giving it back to everybody, in realizing that it is a medicinal center for all of us.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit backstage about, particularly in this country, that the arts have often been for a very specific group of people.
Yes.
And
yes.
that we're finally starting to see both the science and the policy start to have conversations around the actual science that shows that this is good for us. It's something you feel, but you want to speak to that?
It's always driven me crazy my entire life when I would listen to a leader in our country, whether it's a president or a vice president or a surgeon general, someone, they never talk about the arts, ever. They don't talk about the arts and what is there, the resource that is there for all of us. The amazing art that comes worldwide, of course, but also from our culture and our history and our community. Finally, our Surgeon General now, our current one, Vic Murphy, someone is connecting the arts to mental health, because it creates community. There's an amazing statistic that children who are involved in arts, the graduation rate is like 98%. It's quite something, whether that's a marching band or a poetry class or drama or dance, or, you know, so they're finally there. And I think there's a need right now, just a desperate need to help us cope with everything that feels so fast and out of control. And technology is wonderful, but moves fast. You know, the generations below us are not behaving the way that we behaved. So we're trying to learn how to talk to younger generations who are having a very different experience. So I'm very, very, very happy that is slowly happening. And then consequently, what's happening is the NIH and the NEA have come together, and they have, you know, sent out the word for a lot of scientists to do big studies on the arts and the human being and how they interact with each other. Consequently, those are the things that they need data to then take to government to change policy. You know, but there's something that I often think about, which is, why is the unquantifiable not seen as valuable? You know, the unquantifiable is the magic sauce in everything, isn't it? I mean, it's the spiritual part, it's the esoteric part, you can't pin it down, you can't quantify it, you can't put it in a graph. You can't. It's the most human part of us. And I'm often frustrated by a world that does not value that. and won't even recognize it for that matter.
Yeah, it's part of the reason why we here is primarily known as a STEM campus. So, you know, technology and science, but not the most socially known, renowned school. So that's part of why we do things like this, part of why all of our students can have free tickets to any of the concerts, performances we do, because we think it's really important that the folks that are in labs and solving those problems of tomorrow have the arts in their lives so that they're whole humans. It's the magic sauce.
And also, the scientists I find who are the most effective are artistic. And the artists who are the most successful are slightly scientific. There's a marriage between them. And when they merge, you know, when they're not afraid of each other, they're not separated from each other, it just makes both sides better. So there's this strange thing that has happened in our culture where, and also just the view of what is considered success. You know, that if you're in the arts, you'll either starve, or if you're successful because you have a paycheck of a certain number. And that's seen as success. And that just breaks my heart. Because for a lot of us, the arts are not a profession, it's a vocation. And hopefully you are going to make a living. But there are many ways that people can make a living within the arts. They don't have to be the star of a sitcom. You know, there's a lot out there that is not being cultivated and used to make our culture just a little richer and a little healthier.
Yeah, we force our young people to pick paths instead of exploring multiple paths. What have been some of the more surprising or unexpected ways you've seen art influence well-being, either in your own lives or maybe somebody who's interacted with your work, someone who's come and experienced Breathe With Me? Jeppe, you want to start with that?
Yeah, but when I started to give the brush out, I was very surprised about how people reacting on feeling their own breath, because a lot of people they were saying, is that my breath? Is that so short or is this long, and does it feel like this? A lot of people were not even aware of that. So of course, when we talk about Breathe With Me the last couple of days, for instance, it's very beautiful to feel that you have these people coming, beautiful young people, and they're not really aware of what they're doing, and they're taking the first line, very nervous, the brush, the paint, everything is new, very short, dip a little bit again, and then doing a longer one, and then to start, you can see on the body language, the things start to change in them, but they're not really aware of, and they don't want to show that the things changing in their mind setting, and then they're doing the third one is much longer than the first two, and then the fourth one getting much more relaxed, and people just like, what was just happening? And I saw that many hundred times today in the last couple of days, and it's very beautiful to see how awareness of your own breath is this very, very powerful tool you have in your own body, which can be used and be inspired, and especially here, combined the art with the mental health and to bring these beautiful people in. It was one of the beautiful moments in my life to see some people were crying, some people were running away because they felt too much, and some people just, of course, having fun. And it's also a part of it. So to make Breathe With Me, to make it for me at that time I couldn't breathe. So to make my suffering, my burnout to something so positive that we can talk about it to here today, combining with something very important. I'm very honored about that, to be here.
You did this. Yeah. That's amazing.
I started that.
Yeah. How about you? Any surprises?
There was one moment that I experienced. I went to London and I saw a play called The Inheritance. I don't know if anybody has seen it. It's a very large but yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful play. And I was there sitting in the dark with a group of people, and there was a very muscular man sitting next to me who had a big, huge handlebar mustache, and he sat down, and we sat down, and the play started. And we got to the end of the first act, which, if you don't know the play, is incredibly emotional and just it's searing. It just goes right into you. And if you have lost someone who you love, it really gets you. It's a very, very beautiful play. And the two of us started crying at the same time. I realized as I started crying, he was crying. And we somehow, and it was a magical, we just reached out for each other. And there I was in a theater with a stranger, a total stranger. We were absolutely, like intertwined, comforting each other. And that connection was, and I thought, where else but in the theater does that happen? I mean, that doesn't happen in a boardroom. I mean, maybe it should. but where in the world does a situation then create two strangers to comfort each other in a very intimate way? It was remarkable. I don't know where that man is, somewhere in Texas. I think he was a Texan. Like, God bless him. It confirmed like what I believe to be true about the arts. But it happened in a way that it just happened before either of us even knew what. We recognized grief in each other. And we saw it. We didn't even see each other. He had no idea what I looked like. I didn't really know what he looked like. But we were literally like a pile of human grieving people who were comforting each other. And it was amazing. It was amazing.
And you'll always be connected to him.
Absolutely.
He's the guy.
Absolutely. I love him.
Yeah.
But you also experienced Breathe here on the wall 2 days ago.
Oh, you're asking because I sobbed like a small baby after I painted my 4 lines. Someone asked me earlier if I was surprised at what my experience was and if I was surprised by that. I think going into it, I wasn't that surprised that I was emotional because I think as a whole, I'm pretty aware of how disconnected I am with and how I don't make enough time to focus, to breathe, to be quiet. I have 2 beautiful daughters and a job I love and pour myself into. And there was a time where I did feel more connected. It was like college drama school where that's what you do is spend 2 years doing what we did to warm up. So I was a little fearful, and then what happened was it just kind of cracked me open a bit, and it felt very good and it just took, it only takes, I don't know, a minute or 2, and then you kind of want to keep drawing lines, but he only lets you do 4, so. But I'm going to take it home, and I'm going to start doing things. And it was a wonderfully emotional experience for me. So thank you. Thanks. You're leading us into my next question beautifully, which is that art has this unique power to bring people together. So can you share your thoughts on how, you've already done this a little bit, it fosters that sense of belonging and community? I think after COVID particularly, we've got a greater awareness of this. But why experiences like this are so valuable?
If I want to start. Yes. No, but I think it's very because you remember it with your heart, and it's a physical experience in a sense. For 2 years ago or something like that, we were putting up a fountain in front of the Rockefeller Center, and as the owner says, or the chief there, they were saying that the locals have never come back to Rockefeller Center after COVID. And after this fountain started to be there, they start to come back 10 times with their kids and start to use it again, because somehow you learn to be afraid of going somewhere and being social. So that's why it was very important for that place, but for all public places, to activate them again in a way. And of course, as an artist, to hear and see how people coming back again, because normally when you go to Rockefeller, you go there once, you look up and you try maybe to drive up and then you are done. But certainly the locals start to use it again, and this is of course a very beautiful way of seeing what contemporary art or art can do if it activates your emotions and your senses. And because it's interactive, and it's not just because it's mine, but I think generally, when you activate the emotions of a deeper level and touching your heart, I think then you can bring that forward. What we really need right now, more than ever, is to open up our hearts and be much closer to each other, although we are getting more and more distance.
How about you, Laura?
Well, I think that we were discussing this a little bit earlier, and to go on for that, I think none of us know how to be intimate with each other on a daily basis anymore. And I don't mean physically intimate. I mean intimate. We're not encouraged to be intimate. We're encouraged to keep that very much, to be separate from everybody. And there is something about the arts that does crack that open. When you are with someone and a theme song from a sitcom that you grew up with comes on and you start immediately singing it with someone next to you, there is something that combines between the two of you, which is intimate. That's a sharing of a history. That's recognizing something within each other. And it's the enjoyment of breath, which is essential for anything to happen. Without it, nothing is possible. So I think the arts lead us, take us by the hand a little bit and sort of nudge us in that direction. And it makes people very uncomfortable. I think they don't know how to handle intimacy anymore on a daily, as part of a daily exercise. And I mean, even just from like saying hello to your dry cleaner. It doesn't have to be anything profound but intimate. And which is sharing a part of yourself with someone else. Even if that's 2 seconds. It's the little things that make a big difference, spiritually to a community and to a culture. And what it does to our culture is incredibly important. And it will affect how we all evolve and how the generations who are coming up will evolve. And they are really challenged with the whole sense of how to sit in discomfort and be intimate and breathe. It's a real challenge for, with technology that does so much for us. And you pretend, and they are sort of convinced, I have a 10-year-old, so I'm speaking from that experience, they are convinced that they are experiencing intimacy with what they're watching. It's a very, very strange thing to watch. And that's fine for a little bit. It just has to be counterbalanced with something else. I mean, it's not going away. So there it is. So just counterbalance it with something else. And people don't know where to go. They don't know what to do. And then everybody gets angry at each other.
I had a very funny experience here because I love surfing. So I had a local guy bringing me out surfing, and we were on this road, and there came all these surfers up, and then I was saying hello, hey, good morning, how are you? And I'm trying to say hello to everyone because this is how I used to say hello to the surfing community. But a lot of these people were not saying hello to me. And I was like, this is strange. So because where I'm from, it's not as big as here, but I was just wondering. So I asked this beautiful person bringing me out, saying, why is this guy not saying hello? And he says, after COVID, a lot of things changed, so people are very afraid of communicating. But maybe we should do something about it when you're on the beach saying hello to everyone. So when I'm paddling out tomorrow, I will definitely say hello to everyone on the line.
That's right. Make them pat your back, and then you pat theirs. And
yes, that would be funny. Paddling over and start to clap the people on the back.
Even what just patting someone on the back does is it creates circulation.
It does.
It wakes us up. It's a circulation that then circulates the mind. And it changes the ions in the air around you. All of that, it's so important. And people have just sort of let it go. Not everybody, of course, but I certainly feel that it's not valued in our culture the way that it should be.
Yeah, I had not until now considered that lack of intimacy probably correlated to the inability to experience conflict. And so without being able to be intimate, feel discomfort, you can never actually address conflict in a productive way.
You're going to feel safe.
Right.
You're never going to feel safe within discomfort. So people will avoid it like like the plague, so to speak.
Yeah, it's why we need to create the safe spaces so that people have the landing pad and they know you can do this here. How do you think the intersection of art and wellness is evolving? We talked a little bit about this with the policy, especially in the face of the global challenges that we're facing. Laura, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there are all of these incredible tests that have been going on with people with Parkinson's and music, and how music will help the inner rhythm of someone with Parkinson's and will help them with movement. I mean, they're remarkable. I'm sure you can go on the internet and see some of it on YouTube. It's amazing. And that if someone is singing a song in their head, how it will affect their movement and keep them safe. And then with people who have Alzheimer's, music is the thing that really brings them back. They will all of a sudden start singing the songs that they sang as a young person. There are images which then, within painting and photography, that then become symbol, which then have very deep meaning and hit us in a psychological way that I don't think we even understand. So the arts will bring us back to ourselves, whether we're conscious of that or whether or not the brain has shifted and changed, the body has started to go. I find all of that, it's all stuff that I've always believed to be true and I've just known to be true, but to actually see the data of it is very exciting. And to see that doctors are now picking up on that and realizing that if a patient comes into an office that is not a hideous color of dirty white, that their experience will be better, they'll be more relaxed, and then they'll heal faster. Yeah. Paint the ceiling. If you're lying down if there's a doctor here and you have patients who lie down and they're looking up, paint the ceiling. It's very,
The
very
blue
simple.
lines.
Wait, there we go.
Absolutely. But yes, it's comfort. The arts are comfort because it comes from a very sacred human place. So.
Jeppe, how have you seen it evolve?
Yeah, but I rather tell a small story from today where I was standing over there and there came these three beautiful young men. They were all different cultures. One was Indian, a Chinese, and a Persian guy. And he was saying, when I feel pain or I'm afraid, he said, if I paint that out, it's there, it's visible, and I don't want to see on that again. And I said, my experience is that if you look at the things which are not nice, you can work around it or within it, and it can solve itself slowly. You might need to have help from someone else sometimes, but actually to be able to use your breath and to see the invisible coming visible, and then be able to look at it again, it will be a big help for you. And I think this is kind of showing a little bit what art can do in a way. It can bring things which are invisible being visible, and we can start to talk about it. And that's why art in all part of the history, but also now, is I think is not me who is important or whatever artist. I believe that my work is tapped by consciousness about the globe, energy, and we bring it out. I'm bringing it out from my heart, someone bringing it out from the stomach and somewhere. So I believe that we are somehow we are all one. We are that. We are together. You and me. I'm you. And I believe that actually is a part of being creative, is to be open for inspiration and bring it out, as a lot of our colleagues are doing. And that makes a big change. So we change to change, and I can only start right here in my own heart to be more empathic, to be more authentic to my own life and my wishes, and then you can start to give that out to other people. And then hopefully someone will feel inspired by doing that.
I think also the arts somehow pose the question, why? And then if you follow that thought through, if you keep asking why, you will eventually get to a kernel of truth about something that's undeniable. And a lot of times we don't ask why. Why do I like that? Why do I like that? Why do I like it? Because, why do I not like something? Why do I like that person? Why do I not like that person? We stop the conversation with ourselves very quickly. And the why that is sort of inspired by the arts, that's a whole other sort of topic, but it's fascinating to see. And in some ways also there's, plays that are considered classics, novels that are considered classics. Something that's a classic, to me, what that means is that you can see it all throughout your life, and it will hit you as powerfully, but differently, completely differently, depending upon the age where you are in your life, and that's a classic. It's something that holds like an unbelievable power of truth to wherever you are within your life. And not just you, but everybody else as well. It's mutually agreed upon that something is powerful that way.
And sometimes asking the why do I not like something or someone, sometimes the answer is because they're reflecting something back at you that you see. I do think.
Or why does someone behave that way?
Right.
Why? And then all of a sudden, like I remember I was, when I was playing Abigail Adams, there's very little on her. There are the letters, which you can read, but it's hard to find information on her. And then all of a sudden I learned she was pigeon-toed. And I was like, oh my God, she ran farms in New England, pigeon-toed. That's going to affect someone's behavior. And it was hidden. It was always hidden because of the skirts. But knowing that you are pigeon-toed,
Yeah.
knowing that you can be seen as physically weak during a time where that was not acceptable. When all of a sudden you realize, like, why does someone do that? And you're like, oh, they're deaf in their left ear. That's why. And then you become much more forgiving. Like, why is that bothering me so much? And you're like, oh, there are reasons why people behave the way they do. And if you actually sort of follow it through, it's quite revelatory.
Yeah. So your work, for both of you, spans continents and cultures. You've traveled across the world. How do you see different parts of the world approach the relationship between art and wellness? Are there cultural differences in how people engage with art? Well, we know there are around the world, but is there something you can point to where you go, that's special, or that's something a little different that you can share?
I think it's the reason it's being done. I think where it comes from, whether it's a celebration within a small village, a dance, that expresses the happiness of the change of the season, whether it's a tradition of Shakespeare within a great theater, whether it's being done to make a lot of money. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it changes the ingredients with which it's made. And I think culturally you learn about how people live and why they do what they do. That's what I see anyway, is I see the artists who have a profession, who have a vocation, the people who are really trying to work something out, the people who are in celebration, where the spiritual and the arts intersect. There's a reason the arts came out of the church, or that they're so related. I mean, they are very, very close together. And community. So it's, what is the community expressing? What are the individuals within that country? What's the need that they are expressing? What is it the desire that is pushing them to create, for something to come out of them and create?
Jeppe, how about you? Is there somewhere you've traveled that is very distinct, or a story you can share about a favorite experience?
I can, if I go back to Breathe With Me, because we started a couple of many years ago, and of course I can see how people using it very different with the same tool. And if it's a small village in Africa doing it on the clay walls, or if it's in front of the United Nations, or if it's in a school or kindergarten. So I think it's about trying to for me, it's seeing that if you have a good tool, a powerful tool, like your breath is, and maybe a blue line, or other things, you can actually inspire so many people in different levels. And so that was, maybe it's not an answer of the question, but for me it was more like saying, to see that you can have a project going on so many different levels with so many different cultures. If it was also like in China, and they're all doing the same, but they have their background and their culture and how and why they're breathing is very different. And of course you can't see that because we are breathing the same air.
Do you have?
No, I was fortunate enough to travel to Japan and sat and had watched the tea ceremony. I mean, I don't know if any of you have been lucky enough to experience that. It's the most beautiful artistic expression of service and balance, that I've ever seen. It was an absolutely mind-blowing experience, and that's where, the arts and a daily ritual just intersected. And very, very Japanese from that period of time. The hands are always in balance. Nothing is done with one hand. And the different levels of height that are used that express different things. The countries that express themselves circularly. I studied in Russia for a bit, and that's all about the circle. The United States is all about up and down. The physical training is all about up and down, perpendicular, parallel, straight line. In Russia, it's all about the circle. So there's those deep things within different countries and cultures and lifestyles and worldviews. When those become evident, it's fascinating.
You can see why she has 2 honorary doctorates, Dr. Liddy. I'm going to throw a question in just because I want to shake it up a little bit. I'm curious because we had talked about earlier in the week, what happens if somebody draws a line this way? What happens if somebody writes something on the canvas? It doesn't appear as though that has happened.
It has.
Has it happened elsewhere? And how do you handle that?
No, but it had happened also here.
Mm-hmm.
But the nice thing is I trained also the beautiful staff who's been helping me and us to invite people to breathe. And it is like, I'm also like that. I like to do a lot of curls, but of course it's much more difficult for me in my system to make a straight line. So if people are doing this, then you somehow, with love, saying, wow, that was very beautiful what you just did. But the artists really wish you to challenge your way of being creative, and maybe you should go in and see if it's possible in your system to be able to navigate just with your exhale and doing a straight line down. So, and quite often, normally, people are actually trying to do that. And then in the end, maybe they do a little like this. But that's another thing. But just that I'm not completely in my direction. But it's very beautiful. And I think that people really understand very fast that it's really not about painting. It's about being aware of your exhale. And so if you walk around and looking, I think here, I was not allowing anyone to do it. No, I'm sorry. There is a little bit of wiggle, which I kind of like. It's a part of life.
Definitely. For Laura, and you're welcome to join in as well on this one, but you remain very involved at Juilliard. You are in a role of leadership there, which thank you for doing, because universities like this need folks in the community to help and to be involved. What role do you think higher education institutions play in this in this intersection of art and wellness?
There has to be a sacred space for people to explore, where there just has to be. It has to be private, it has to be protected, and it has to allow for a freedom that is not available anywhere else. It also is incredibly important for people who have experience to pass down. So you have faculty who are feeding the next generation, so that all the work that someone has done is passed on. And then also it's a place where those who are deeply committed to something that they need to survive they're young. They don't quite understand why. That's great. That's fine. It's a process. They have to have somewhere to go. I knew instinctively I had to be trained. I was so hungry to go to a place where everybody knew so much. They all had the stuff that I wanted. They all knew the things that I just craved. How do you read a script like that? How do you get that information out of there? How do I balance that? What do I do? What do I do? Please tell me, what do I do? And we have to pass down. You just must.
Yeah, and I think that idea of having a safe place to make mistakes.
Absolutely, you must fail. It has to be a place where failure is a huge part of it. If you don't fail, you're not going to learn. Yeah. I'm constantly telling the students at Juilliard, like, this is where you fail. Fail here. You got in. It's fantastic. You're in the school already. Fail. Be embarrassed. Sit in discomfort. It's all the stuff we're talking about.
Yeah.
Go learn about things in a three-dimensional physical way. It's academically based. However, it's not academic. It is your body. It is your expression. It is stuff that you don't quite understand it's coming out of you for some reason. When singing makes you burst into tears, and it's the breath. It's the molecular structure of things, everything changing in your body. Education is important. It's so important, and needs to be available to everyone. And the arts, being taken out of schools, left, right, and center is just a crime, and is just so bad for us. I just find it insane. Why are you making it more difficult for young people? It makes everything easier. It makes everything better. Your kid's not going to lose their mind and be like some self-indulgent crying kid in the corner. They will actually be a better communicator. They will be able to work with people better. They'll have diagnostic abilities that they wouldn't have otherwise. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on and on.
Yeah, and especially I think a lot of elementary schools are pulling the phones away and having phones on lockdown. Those kids need to learn how to interact with each other again. We've got a bit of repair to do. So,
and also they need to know, what am I seeing? Yeah. What am I feeling? Why am I reacting to this math problem, this poem, this piece of music, this science project, the way I am responding to it? You have to have some knowledge about yourself so that you can function and participate in the world. And then you also have to learn how to be very flexible. Yeah. There's the wonderful sort of contradictions of flexible and yet prepared. I love the weird contradictions of things that you have to have in order to evolve.
Yeah, but do you have thoughts on that? How our colleges and universities can play a role in art and wellness? And
I have thoughts and statements, but I think that we are doing a very beautiful statement right here. I think this is as an artist, not really theoretical, trying to be in your body and not losing your mind. I think it's very important that I'm a creator in a way, and there's someone very good at explaining what I'm doing, better than I am, because I'm explaining from the heart. But I think that if you look around, and some of you have been experiencing it, and seeing how people are reacting when they're part of something bigger, something broader, and then see the beautiful young people questioning the situation, because a lot of them, they were just coming, we have exclusion, we're not doing anything, they were just coming like this with a good energy, and then certainly they were doing something very serious in a way, but the seriousness they created themselves. Maybe I did a little bit, guiding them over there, and I think that is something that we, but I think especially the situation right here in the world, we need to support much more the young people, because creativity is opening up your senses, and is much more aware of how you live your life. And I think that the pressure which these students have on them, which you can feel when they're just walking by, it's very much, I'm sure, a lot of pressure coming from home. And I think that if they can have a minute to breathe and maybe other things around here, then they're definitely coming somewhere.
There's also something about the history of what we do,
Yeah.
the history of the arts, the history of painting, and how it has, gone into so many different areas, and why. The evolution of dance, the evolution of theater, of the buildings themselves, of the style of acting, of the decor, that's important stuff. Not that you have to be overly nerdy about it, but it is important to know where, as an artist, you have come from, and whose influences you might not realize are already within you, and to see then, and how you continue that on, and that's really the only place that's encouraged is in schools, I think. And also, what is the purpose of an artist? Why am I an artist? And in some ways, you have to look to other people first. Why were they an artist? I love reading biographies of artists, because every once in a while, I love to see, what did they do when things got really hard?
Yeah.
Teach me. Yeah. You great artist, you amazing person. How did you deal with that? How did you balance life and art? How did you deal with writer's block? How did you, and that's part of history. So I find all of that, important as well.
Can I ask you that question? How did you approach things when things got hard, in the interest of the why and
Well, it's painful,
you are also a great
and you
artist.
want to run away, and you want to stick a fork in your eye and go away. But I think it's learning to sit in discomfort. It's just telling yourself, this is a process. I have to let things grow and coordinate, and I have to be patient, but not abandon it. I have to stay in and let the world within me and outside of me catch up with each other. Yeah. So a lot of it is incredible patience, and also knowing even when things are just all falling apart, you don't stop working. Yeah. That doesn't mean you don't clear your mind and sit, but you must, you don't want to squander the experience. Because usually hard times are pushing you, something's not working, and it's pushing you into another direction that is important for you to go, whether you realize it or not,
Sounds like I'm hearing a lot of hope in there too, knowing that there's another side to whatever it is that you're experiencing. We talked about universities. What about our government, our local government? Yes, go vote, everyone. Go out and vote. But truly, how can they support, or even city planners, thinking about truly local? I think people, our eyes are so much on what's on the news all the time, but local government is pretty key to the arts thriving and some of the answers to the
Well, it's
challenges.
What do people need? What does a community need to be a community? You go to South America, and every town has a church, an athletic field. They have basic things that are there that create for connection and a healthy life. I think it's how are we in service to each other? How do we make this the healthiest community we can make it? It's not about being better than anybody else. It's about being healthy and allowing ourselves to evolve. If you don't work on that, it doesn't happen. It's not necessarily going to happen. So, and that's where then mental health starts to deteriorate. And then people feel very alone. And loneliness, lonely is okay, or alone is okay. Being alone sometimes is great. Lonely will drive you crazy. It will, and it is absolutely rampant in our country, I think. And there are things that, for the public good, which are not valued within certain governments. The public good, art outside, people to gather, look, share, laugh, smile, giggle. Millennium Park in Chicago, unbelievable. The bean that's there, that gorgeous thing, and the people are constantly walking around it, and it just lightens everybody up, and it's, the shared experience. It breaks my heart that people aren't going to movies anymore. Breaks my heart, because that experience of everybody sitting together and experiencing the same thing at the same time, was glorious. And, it's the unthinkable has happened, and that is sort of receding to people just being alone on their couch, which is really comfortable and really easy, but not, it can be better than that. I think people don't realize how much better it can be by simple changes, and a little bit of effort.
We saw a show in London not too long ago where they took a big technical swing and everybody in the audience had headphones and incredible actors performing. And so you could hear them whispering, and it worked on some levels because it made you feel like you were really in their heads and you're right there. But I really struggled with it because I couldn't hear the people around me laughing, and I couldn't hear the gasps or the sighs, and I did not realize how important that is to my experience. And it's core to what I think that what we're talking about is that communal experience where you're in it together. That's that movie theater experience.
And you're all being changed at the same time.
Yes. Yes.
You leave different than when you came in. All of you.
Yep.
It's just glorious.
Yep.
I mean, it's an amazing thing to happen.
And it's only that way one time. Because no matter what, even if you're watching a movie, the audience is going to change, and that reactions are going to change. That's what I love about the theater. It's one time it lives in that moment, and then it's something different the next night. Yeah. Moving on. So we've talked about how art can help with healing. And we've talked a little bit, wait, I didn't talk to you about the government question. Do you have thoughts on, well, it's like the fountain.
Help me.
It's not meant to be hard. It's you mentioned the fountain, and that it's another space that brings people back together.
No, but we were talking about it earlier on. It's like, of course, a project like this is growing in, for instance, this campus, and people get inspired, and you need to get inspired in first the students, then the teachers, then the professors, and then the people higher up. And there were very beautiful stories about, I think, by the the sports people, and they are now creating something very special for mindfulness and sport,
Yes.
which they came out of, actually, I think, because someone was watching Breathe With Me for some months ago. So things like that is, of course, fantastic when things can flowering and getting up to different layers, and it will be used as a tool. And I think the pressure will then appears up in the top and then further somewhere to Washington, maybe. Yeah. But you can hope for that.
Yeah. I think even thinking about, looking at behind us this beautiful mural on the building, ways that we can incorporate just in the planning of things, make them beautiful. Put a bean in there that people take pictures with. So we've talked about how art can help with healing. How can we use it as a preventative tool? Do you have thoughts on that? How can we get ahead of things?
Well, it's just nutritious. And I think it sort of helps you as things come with you. It sort of gives you an ability to express yourself, to recognize things, to tell a story, to hang on to a narrative, to hear the music, and that all comes from human experience. So if you have those tools, it is going to help you preventatively with things outside of the arts, I think.
Jeppe?
No, but I'm keep on coming back to Breathe With Me because I don't see it as my project. I see it as our project. And I believe and I hope that we as a team and here as Stewart Collection and the university inspired maybe a couple of thousand young people to really to use that in their everyday life. Maybe go home and do these small things in front of, hopefully turn their phone off. I try to explain them, don't turn your phone off the first 10 minutes and sit and drink a cup of tea and then do these small lines with a brush, with a pen, whatever, or in the sand, just to be aware. And I hope that that can help them and help us to recognize how important it is to make art projects and to be creative in their lives. And I think, I'm sure that some people would bring it to the next level in their own practice of life.
That brings us to, I think, a great point, because we're getting close to time to conclude. I'm going to ask, Laura, could we invite you to paint?
Oh, I'd love
with
to.
Jeppe?
I'd love to.
Before we do, because this will be our kind of closing moment of our conversation, can you please join me in thanking Jeppe and Laura for the time tonight? Thank you. We hope you'll come back here. We're doing cool stuff here at UC San Diego, and I want to thank Jess Berlanga-Taylor and her team. As she said, kindred spirits is the best way to say we are thrilled to be moving forward the Chancellor's vision to create an arts destination here at UC San Diego and bring folks both to campus and then bring our work out into the community. So we really appreciate you being here and sharing with your friends. The Stewart Collection is all around. That's a way you can have art in your everyday life. Take a walk on our campus. Go and experience the park in a box. But whatever you do, we do hope that you are well and that you are inspired to have a moment of art and breathing in your life every day. So I'm going to let Jeppe guide Laura, and then at some point Jonas is going to, I think, join us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we start to breathe, there will be a small surprise. Some of them you heard it. But when I was 5, I met a friend of mine, and he will play a song called Breathe With Me. But that's after we've been breathing. Then he will come out, and I hope that we're actually going to sing together because he will like to invite you. But he's profi, he will tell you, so I'm not taking his words. But let's go up and try and invite you to, and then afterward I will invite you all.
so much. I've written a song for this piece of art of Jeppe's. Yes, and feel free to join in on the chorus. It's quite easy to pick up, so I think we'll get there in the end. It's a very long song, so you've got enough time to learn it. So thank you so much. Sounds like this. Hey everybody, let's gather round. Take some time and ease our frown. Start breathing. Let's take care of ourselves in this world. Take a good look around. Every boy, every girl, start breathing. Come on and breathe with me. Come on and breathe with me. Come on and breathe with me. With me. Please join hands and serve the beat. Feel the flowers grow beneath your feet. Start breathing. You'll never know what's around the bend. Make sure to live life to its full extent. Start breathing. Come on and breathe with me. Just come on and breathe. Come on and breathe with me, with me. Now see the light come shining through the dark. Let the warmth embrace you. Come on, friends, and open your hearts with me. Come on and breathe with me. Yes, come on and breathe with me. With me. Now power is in the air tonight. The heavens coming closer in all its might. Start breathing. Well, you are me, I am you. Love is right here if you want it to. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody. Stay, enjoy some more music, paint, have fun. Good night.